Hello, guys. Welcome to Approach the Nerd. It's your girl, Maria Park, and I am here to talk about Motherland Fort Salem, the series finale. I was not sure if I was going to make this video or not because I was not happy with some of the things that happened in season three, and I actually, and maybe in the minority, I was not that happy with what happened in the series finale. Um, this may be an interesting review, but it is what it is. So I guess I should start with some of the choices that I didn't like in season three, and then we can just talk about the finale. But for me, out of respect for Elliot Lawrence's vision, this is a very good show in general. I've always enjoyed it. I've been following this show since its inception and its premiere. I've done every review of every episode up to date. Season three, just unfortunately being thrown off the wagon, with my dad dying and a bunch of stuff happening. So I was behind on that, but I did do a catch up video. So make sure to watch that if you have not seen my take on that. But some things that I thought were going to happen in the season finale came to pass. So I guess I just need to start with the stuff that I thought was weird. So a lot of characters have very established roles in this show. Things that they do, things that people have either come to expect, or basically it's how you identify who these characters are. The Camarera are always going to be people that hate witches and want everybody of witch descent to be wiped off the face of the earth. They think it's unnatural. They think it's horrible. It is what it is. We know what to expect from them, even though I'm sure even if we had more focus on this terrorist group, because they're also a terrorist group, you probably would find some people that were on the fence. That's basically going to be in any cause or any, terrorist movement. But what's really interesting to me is this. So throughout seasons 1 and 2, the characters of Nikta and Scylla were Spree. And Spree basically were upset, and really rightfully so, that they're being forced to join the military just because they were born witches. Just to be sent off potentially to the front lines of a war in a country that they feel doesn't even respect or like them. I get that. Absolutely tracks with me. So imagine my surprise in season 3 when Nikta kind of still holds those ideals, which she should because she's the founder of the Spree. But it seems like Scylla has kind of completely 180'd. And what I mean by that is, yes, she's still a dodger, but even listening to Abigail talk about Fort Salem yesterday, where she's like, when they're getting ready, not yesterday, sorry, Tuesday night in the finale, where Abigail is like, hey, Fort Salem is our home. Let's fight for it. Everyone's like kind of gung ho. And even Scylla's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, you hate everything about the military and conscription. You literally killed 1,601 people to make a point about it. And now it's like, it's fine. The elephant in the room for me is Anacostia, because I love Anacostia. And I told you guys last week when I did my catch up, or actually I think it was this week when I did my catch up review, that if they killed off my girl, I was going to be pissed. And I'm telling you right now, I am pissed, because Anacostia has been the stable one of anybody else in this damn series. She has always followed her heart and the truth and what's right, even though it meant betraying her mother, Alder, in a sense. Even if it meant, going against Fort Salem, she always did what she felt was true and right. And honestly, 10 out of 10, she was right. And I feel like them killing off Anacostia was an effing cop-out. I'm not doing this because, it's my favorite character. I'm not doing that because, this doesn't bring drama to it. Because of course it brought drama. Of course it made us all clench our hearts and we're like, no, because I knew they needed a death. They needed a good guy death. But my fear was that they were going to make Anacostia the fucking martyr. And they did. And it makes no sense to me, because how she went out was not. you're watching this, you know this is not a spoiler. So you see a Jeep or truck coming at you, and then you use your work to scream away your boyfriend and Petra just for you to be crushed by a car. Now, if you think about this full circle, her parents did the same thing. They refused to use the work off base. They were so loyal to Fort Salem's laws about not performing, any of the work off base, that they allowed themselves to be killed in a car crash. So it's almost like, a family curse at this point. But at the same time, it was completely effing unnecessary at all. I'm sorry. She could have screamed the damn truck out of the way. She could have screamed at them and leaped at the same time. She could have done a lot. How they took my girl out was not going down fighting. As a matter of fact, that finale, there was very little fighting. I guess we can just chalk that up to the fact that, the Camarilla had this tech, or these freaking uniforms that basically made all work inert. So the part where you couldn't even hear each other. So I get that they were at a disadvantage, but I mean, come on, guys. Anacostia deserved better. So I'm going to say this, #Anacostia deserved better. Just saying, this stupid. My girl deserved a better death. If she had to die, she should have gone down swinging. Not that. I mean, it was so damn fast. They let her do this motivational speech where she's like, "Oh, you girls have come so far. I'm proud of you." Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and take care of Scylla, because don't get me started on that. And then she goes off, and then she just dies, and it's like, what in the hell just happened? What happened? So I'm in my feelings about it, guys. I'm not pretending not to be. That whole thing with Anacostia was just effing stupid. Now for you guys who are big Charm fans and who used to watch my Charm reviews, you're gonna get what I say. It's gonna come to you. The end game of the series finale, the way the first song was able to save everyone, to stop the Camarilla from wiping out all the witches, is by doing something that morally just shows me how gray this show really is. Because I've always said this was a morally gray show. They do things on a whole other level that we don't romanticize terrorists. We don't do all this stuff in real life. But they do that in this show. They literally terraformed the effing planet and made everybody a witch. Now think about how this sounds. Do you know what that looks like? For a POC, it looks like colonism. There's no other way to effing look at that. Think about this. Even the humans that were supportive of witches are now made to be a witch. What if you didn't want that life? That should be a choice. It should be something that is just made for you. I don't know how that was not seen in the writer's room. And it just brings me back to the series finale of the reboot of Charmed, where the only difference being, instead of this utopia where all magical creatures live side by side and all the humans were made into trees and plants, all the humans were made into magical creatures. What in the effing hell just happened? What just happened? And then on top of that, our girls went from the charm ones to the elders. Guys, and I know they didn't have but 10 episodes to resolve an entire series, but come on, guys. There should have been a lot more thought process put into this, an outline, something. This shit was stupid. I'm sorry. I did not like this finale at all. It was like somebody wrote a fanfic and they didn't have an editor to tell them that, this may not go very well, go over very well in the closure of your script. It was absolutely effing stupid. Where were the big bad revelations? I mean, Hearst and Silver were killed by, Penelope like that. They were just like, well, they were like, ha, this is our time. Hi, Dad. Dead. That's literally it. That was literally it. There was no point in breaking Silva out of prison for that shit. She could have gone in the jail cell and killed him. It would have made no difference whatsoever. It was stupid. And guys, I know I harp a lot on this. I'm still upset about the whole Scylla Raelle thing. Not that I don't think that Amalia Holmes is gorgeous. She is. Not that I don't think that Raelle and her have chemistry. But I knew when people took to it, they were going, like, I knew Elliot and all of them were going to harp on this. As a queer woman, I know we need representation. I still feel that this is toxic as hell. That's just me, because you've got a woman who, again, was a terrorist and mass murdered people, including her ex-boyfriend that you know about, who never had a conversation with Raelle personally about killing these people in the pilot episode of this series. They've never talked about that. That was never a discussion. How can you go into a marriage and not put all your baggage down? Yes, she knew she's free. Yes, she's known she killed Porter, but that's probably the extent of what Raelle knows. I doubt over, in bed when they were having conversations after sleeping together that she was like, oh yeah, by the way, you know that big event during conscription where people were like hanging out and they just started dropping to their deaths? I caused that. What do you think about that? No, it's just like nobody gives a shit. And the reason I'm saying it is, if you look at the series as a whole, especially in the finale, Wade tells, well, actually, before the episode before the finale, President Wade told Nicta she would not be pardoned for her crimes. And she's basically now President Wade's indentured servant. That's what she is. She's President Wade's bitch. Scylla gets to get married, have a life, live in her lighthouse. Are you serious? Like, she gets nothing? No repercussions whatsoever? She's an escaped criminal. She literally escaped from prison. Anacostia let her escape. There were no repercussions for Scylla. And another thing, the reason I knew that the networks and the writers were like, oh, this is something we need to ship. If you go back and you look at the billing at the beginning of this episode, do you ever notice how Raelle and Scylla are top billed and then everybody else is billed after them? Just saying. Now, if you actually say anything like this, you already know you're going to be impaled by the Rayla shifters. They will come for you in the night. I don't care. But I just have to put a case in point that if this is supposed to be representation, I don't need any. I don't need it. Again, the actresses have good chemistry together, I'm sure. And they're very sweet, probably in real life. And everybody seems to get along on this show. So I know, for me, I feel like a lot of their friendships played more into the story than the story itself. So you get this, you're essentially seeing how Taylor, and Amalia would be as BFFs pretending to be in love with each other because they both have relationships. I'm pretty sure I saw that Taylor had a boyfriend in real life. I don't know about Amalia, but I know she does. But, if they were just living into their bisexual fantasies, this is what you're seeing on screen. So it works. They get to flirt, they get to play with each other, they have chemistry. I am never going to downplay an actress's work because that's stupid and ignorant. This is all writing that I'm talking about. I have so many effing issues with this because it has created an entire culture that is okay at accepting death, terrorism, and everything else for your ship. It is absolutely effing stupid. So yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, my girl Anacostia finally got a man, going through all this tragic stuff, was brought up as a damn, orphan, basically, a youngling, and she gets to die in the finale. But it's okay because Scylla and Raelle are married, so that's all that fucking matters, right? So it's so, the plot is sacrificed for a relationship, and it's really stupid to me. But then, to be fair, what did Scylla really do? Scylla is absolutely Raelle's bitch. She does everything because of Raelle. There is nothing she doesn't do that's not inspired by or for Raelle. It's like she has no real thoughts and feelings and motivation of her own. It's everything since I was Raelle, with Raelle, and she decided that she loves me again. I must be this person because this is what Raelle would do, and I have to do this for Raelle, and I want to be with Raelle, and nothing matters but Raelle. And it's like, that's called codependency. So either way, it's a messed up relationship, and people love it. And I just don't understand it. I'm just going to put, I don't understand it. Let's talk about something that's a plot hole too. So when they were trying to get to Mama Mushroom, because that's what I call Silly, I'm going to call her Mother Mushroom. And they got to the basement and, they were going, I guess they were trying to get in. Well, Raelle got basically infected Adil, and Scylla. But you notice how Adil was like whole ass dying more than Scylla was? Like Scylla, it's so weird. They were both on the ground and they were shaking, and like Rael's like, I can heal them. Why is it not working? And then they go to commercial and then they come back. And then Rael's like one laying there looking like she's half dead. And Scylla's holding her hand. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Why is Adil still whole ass dying? And Scylla's over here saying, holding her hand, but like, yeah, I'm just a little sick, but it's fine. And I'm like, what is happening? Guys, I don't know what happened to this series. This series had so much potential. It was the better Charmed. I mean, yes, you know I love Charmed, but it had problems, except for the recent season, which I thought was a hell of a lot better than seasons 2 and 3 of Charmed. This was the Charmed that we had wanted. A darker, more focused Charmed. And it's like, I kind of still got it because, again, they made the charm ones of Motherland, Fort Salem into the elders now, because now they're goddesses. You will be called goddesses. By who? Like, what? So obviously everybody's going to be brain dead, and everyone's going to follow the same script too. So everyone's going to be mind controlled and calling these 3 girls, goddesses, instead of saying, you took our rights away. We like being human. Why are you forcing us to be a witch? We're not even Camarera. We have nothing to do with hating you, but yet you made everybody on the planet witches. They literally, you want to talk about agenda, which is a word I hate people saying. The Mother Mushroom's agenda was to convert everybody into witchism, and that's exactly what happened. So there is no diversity. If you take witches out and put it into Christianity, Europeanism, whatever, how is that any effing different than what happened at the series finale of this show? Just saying. I love Alder. I'm glad we got to see Alder again, even though she was just running around trying to find pieces of the first song. She was basically being used by Mama Mushroom too, but at least we got to see more of her, because I think that, Lynn is a beautiful woman, and I really would love for her to be like Xena's aunt, or I don't want to say mother. She doesn't look old enough to be her mother, but like maybe an aunt or a cousin or whatever, or Wonder Woman's cousin or aunt, a Themysciran. I mean, she just has this whole Amazonian look to me, and I'm just like, she has this ethereal beauty it's just supernatural. She looks like she really is a witch. So I really love her, and I'm glad we got to see her, because we really did not get to see M. Where the hell was M? M had one role: protect the president. You got the president. Okay, we don't need M anymore. We didn't have Wade in the series finale. It's like you have these expendable effing characters. Where they go? But you know what we did get? We got Gregorio. I like Gregorio. But you ever notice how whenever Tally has a crush, she expresses this crush instantly by screwing them? She sleeps with them. I'm not trying to slut shame anybody. I'm just saying that Tally expresses herself and her desires through sex immediately. She has been perpetually horny since season 1. I don't know why. I guess probably because, Abigail and Rael have people that they can get on with, and she's kind of single, or at least now. So I guess she's with Gregorio now, but it just seems like she's perpetually horny, and she has this horniness and chemistry with every character she comes in contact with. Nikta, I don't know, even freaking Alder. I mean, you compare her with everybody. There are so many people that wanted her to Rael basically to be with Tally, which honestly I would have been okay with. I still love, Abigail and Rael. I'm probably the minority in that, because I just really love the enemies to frenemies to lovers trope. And they went through so much together that I felt like that would have been very believable. I mean, the first time Rael did the witch bomb is when she was dying and Abigail was saving her life. So, I mean, I really loved their chemistry. But I know that when you say that, that's also like, ew, they're sisters, which again, they're not sisters. And they're not even biologically related. They're only sisters through their unit. But that's just me. But yeah, it's a thing. It's all really strange to me how this whole series played out. Like, and then you think about, like, what's the future even look for them? What does it look like? Fort Salem is not needed, right? You no longer need Fort Salem because everybody is a witch. Now, yeah, you could have territorial threats like this country wants to take land and this country wants to take land. But I mean, if they're all brainwashed by the one song or the first song, would that even be a thing? Would you need the military? Would you need statuses? Would you need, I mean, would it be a society that didn't need to have like executive staffs and people that are in leadership? I mean, because the only leaders that you're going to have are Raelle, Tally, and Abigail because they're the goddesses, and it doesn't make sense. No, Lord. I know on a spiritual level, this was like everybody just needs to get on the same page about saving the planet and being, accepting of each other. That's beautiful. I'm down with that. It's just, I cannot separate it because again, this is a show that has glorified terrorism. So like, I don't understand how people are like completely okay with making the entire planet terraformed into witches. That's basically what you did. You changed the DNA of all of these people without consent. No consent. And I have a big problem with that. I feel so sad for Anacastia's boyfriend. He really loved her. I wish they had done something bigger for her to send her off. That little moment where Petra's telling the unit and everybody that, Anacostia is dead and she wouldn't be there if it wasn't for her, and they do their little stomp. As a military brat, I know that in the middle of battle, that could be a thing. But I mean, you don't get a funeral? I don't. Guys, I am so let down. I'm not going to lie. I am let down. And I hate this. It's another show that has let me down that I loved. And I knew I was going to be in my feelings. When I watched this on Tuesday, guys, I was pissed. And this is why I did not do a Wednesday stream or a Thursday stream. I said I needed a few days because I'm going to come in here angry grandma and all over the damn place. I'm like, they did not kill my baby off. And such. And then I watched the after show and they're like, we did it in such a respectful way. No, you didn't. No, my girl should have been in there. If she had to die, she should have been in there swinging, taking on all the camera by herself. Like basically letting them know I'm doing this to save you, not just to save her boyfriend and Petra. I mean, saving everybody. I am the hero. I may not be the hero you wanted, but I'm the hero you needed. And I'm the one you're going to get. That should have been how she died. How she died was just quick and stupid. It was just quick and freaking stupid and unbelievable because there's no reality. Because I've seen this woman fight. There's no reality where I would see Anacostia being that damn slow. Hell, she could have pushed them both out of the way as they all leapt to the side. It didn't make any effing sense. A truck or a Jeep or whatever it was coming in that range of motion does not have time to turn like that. They could have cleared enough space where none of them had to die. It's like she's like, well, this is my time, guys. Go over there. It's like she just literally had this thought. She had time to have this thought. It is so stupid. It really is. But it is. Okay, I'm looking at some of your comments. I'm going to respond to them as I go. I don't think the show glorifies terrorism as much as it calls out how much coercion and terrorism is part of how the current status quo of the real world operates. It is a commentary on real life. I will agree with that. But when I'm saying the show glorifies terrorism, I'm talking about when you propel a couple, like just think about this. Let's put this in real life perspective, okay? So say Scylla was bullied. So Scylla decided to walk into a school and open fire on everybody, killing hundreds and hundreds of students. But she had met Raelle. Quite frankly, in this series, the way we have seen this operate, people still would ship her. Even though all of these people, all these students, these young people are dead, they would still ship Raelle and Scylla because they're a cute queer couple. And this is coming from a queer person. So this is not an anti-queer LGBTQ+. You know I'm not like that. I'm just saying that we give people passes for shit in situations that they should never have passes for. Let me tell you how they should have introduced Scylla. Scylla should have come into the show as a dodger, not as a spree. She should have been a dodger who was flirting with the idea of being a spree. Maybe this was her initiation, infiltrate the base, but not actually having murdered people. Then it would be a different story. But when you got a girl who's already committed all these heinous crimes and she gets a pass, and she got a pass, and I mean, we will argue down about this back and forth all day. Scylla got a pass for murder. And whenever you say something, there's a gray area. I don't see murder in a gray area. If it's self-defense, that's a gray area. If you purposely go somewhere with the intention of harming and killing people, that is not a gray area. That is a red area where blood is involved and it's on your hands. That's all I'm saying. So I will, concede to the point of that this show doesn't glorify terrorism in the term of they support terrorism. I'm saying by them creating characters like this and having no accountability, I mean, it's kind of the same thing for me. I'm sorry. It just is. Let me move to the top. Okay, I wish we still get a story of Alder's backstory, not Jem's. I agree. Though I will say, the Bellwethers were the most powerful family. I mean, yes, Alder was the first witch. Well, not the first, witch, but she was the one that started the entire military, struggle, because that's what we're gonna call it. It does seem like the Bellwethers were very, very gifted. Like Jem was extremely gifted witch. It made it seem like Jem was better than Alder. That's how they described it. And then obviously she was a song, carrier. I forgot the term we were going to use. It went right out of my head, guys. I'm tired. But she had a song that she was so scared to use that, she didn't ever want to use it. But she had to have used it. Unless genetically, I guess genetically you just know the song. You don't have to pass it on. I don't know how that works, because I always thought you had to sing it and pass it on. But she was scared to sing it. So at some point she got over it, or the Bellwethers are just a special breed of witch, and it just comes to them. And they had a lot of work that was lost during slavery and throughout the generations. And now we're seeing that, Abigail is OP. That's what it is. Abigail is OP. Adil is OP. Their baby is going to be freaking OP. I mean, it's just what it is. I'm here for it, but it's interesting because I guess they basically are saying that this unit met each other in a predestined way because they were meant to be in that moment. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, Alder should have had a much better. Like I said, Alder and Acostia, I mean, these should have been stories that were fleshed out, but they were not, unfortunately. Martyr's deaths are the worst unless it makes sense for the character. I agree, and it did not make sense. I thought the villain's death were going to be better. I know, right? I'm like, they just could have had Penelope just be in the jail cell with her dad. And like, they never really showed like her sister and all the other crazy rest of the camera. Like, it's just like they're there, but now we know they're witches. So that's all we needed to know about that. It's so weird. It is so weird. The ending was good, but season 1 finale was still better. Short fight, but good magic display. And I wanted another witch to fight like another general, maybe budget problems, but we could just get awesome hand combat. Yeah, it shouldn't. I would feel like budget-wise, it takes less to do fight scenes than to do all the CG it took from Mother Mushroom to do all the stuff that she did through Raelle. So yeah, they just, I don't know what was happening. I know that when Raelle's actress got into a car accident, it probably really hindered a lot of stuff because they had to rework a lot of stuff around her. So I do get that. But I mean, come on, the other guys weren't injured, so then just let them fight. I don't know. Whatever. The finale was good. The way wasn't, they could do much better for each character. I feel like they could have done a lot better for all of them, honestly. I think I would have been better if like they hadn't done what they did to Anacostia. They did not terraform everybody and make the choice without consent from people to be, become witches. And if the whole thing with Scylla had been resolved, like there actually had been some kind of repercussion or accountability or anything, or a conversation, for God's sake. So just like, even when Scylla was talking to Raelle's dad, he's like, well, what you did in the past was fine. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Wish bigger network picked up and more fighting magic and new enemies. what bigger network? At this point, all the networks are crap. I'm just gonna be real with you. I mean, look what's happening with Warner Brothers and HBO Max and all this stuff, and CW and CBS and Netflix. Everybody's having issues. I would say Hulu, but I'm beginning to wonder if Disney is going to phase Hulu out too. So I don't know. I feel like all the networks are in trouble right now. So I wouldn't know who would pick it up. I mean, in the ideal world, it would go to Hulu, only because I love what happened with the Orville and New Horizons, the budget they got, the freedom they got. They got to make, like, literally, they got to make episodes that look like movies. Netflix cancels stuff when it gets good. I would never want them to go to Netflix. But if they had gone to Hulu, I think they probably would have had a shot. But that wasn't a thing. I don't know why it wasn't pitched somewhere else, but Freeform has always done this. Look at Shadowhunters. I'm telling you, this is their MO. They get rid of the stuff that's popular. They pulled an ego, a General Zod from the Man of Steel. Yes, they did. Yeah, it was a mess. Big, stupid finale. Thank you, Sean. Good light and love to you too. It's been it's been a thing, guys. It's been a thing. The finale was definitely not what I expected. It's not what a lot of people expected. I was talking to a few people about this, and they were like, "What?" And we were all like, "What did we just watch?" It didn't even feel like a Fort Salem episode. It really didn't. They spent so much time on getting to Mother Mushroom, and it's just like it seemed like everything was an afterthought. And what universe did we not see M coming back to help with Fort Salem? Where was M? I am so confused right now. I mean, even in the aftermath, when we learn that Nikta is pretty much Wade's bitch now, where's M? Is M going to be working exclusively with the president? I am so confused. So, it's a thing. This was someone's first draft. I agree with that. Yeah, the Scylla Rail relationship is still messy as hell. Yep. Somebody will fix it in fanfics. It's fine. If the show is really a morally gray show, I guess the Rail and Scylla ship makes sense. I mean, yeah, in a way, if you really think about it, for the tone of this show, it makes absolute sense. But it just feels so weird that all of those people, and I guess as a mother, what's hard for me is that scene where the little girl was looking at her when she was in that other face. And because she was holding a balloon, and then knowing that Scylla made that little girl jump to her death is hard for me, guys. That is hard for me, especially when Scylla bonds with the little girl Tiffany, and I'm like, okay, well, that girl's a witch, so I guess she has value. But this human girl who just has the unfortunate luck to be with her family, who brought her to this event, has to die for you to make a point that joining the military is wrong and being forced to join the military is wrong. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And people are okay. If you look at the comment section on stuff like that, you would be in your feelings. When Porter died, I happened to read some comments on one of the Motherland Fort Salem fan sites. And somebody just brought up, Scylla killed Porter. And all the people were like, well, so he deserved it. He shouldn't be trying to come between, her and Rael. And I'm like, wow, what? So you support somebody being killed because you feel like they're going to have a love triangle? That is some toxic shit. I'm sorry. I don't subscribe to that. I don't. It looks like this show has consent issues too. Call Kenny. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get kicked out of that. He is never living that down. The moral greatness of the show reflects the moral greatness and darkness of the real world politics. True, but it shouldn't. We should be striving to be better. I mean, come on, guys. I'm a queer woman in a country that doesn't even let me basically decide what to do with my own damn uterus. So, I mean, you're speaking to the choir here. To be honest, I thought finale could have more fight with awesome hand combat and weather magic by Alder, Abigail, and Petra and Minerva. And I thought Kalita could do something. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. Kalita is like one of the strongest witches in this show, and she basically just came to be with her brother. That's literally it. I don't know. Ray, we're on the same page. Kenny will never live down the consent thing ever. He's still saying it. I keep trying to teach him the definition. It's just hard. You can't penetrate that wall sometimes. They went the whole eugenics ending with the finale. They changed 90% of the population's DNA to conform to the better 10%. Yeah. Isn't that what Hitler was trying to do with his Aryan race theory. Just saying. Still mad about Anacostia. She really didn't need to die. Yep. Wait for it. Wait for what? Are you waiting for Andy Grandma? Because I usually say that when you talk about Henry Grandma. Let's see here. To be fair, they have shown that witches are blood purists since season 1. I just never thought they actually meant it. I never thought they would basically erase humanity for the sake of witches. I know. It makes it's like genocide. Oh Lord. I just keep thinking about that. I used to hear stories my indigenous side just about how many people had their culture and language and tribes my grandfather was from just erased. Like it didn't matter. And if you didn't conform to it, you were put in jail sometimes back in the day, or you had your kids taken away. They still take kids away. So I mean, when I see shit like this, and it's a show that's supposed to be so progressive, it's supposed to you know what I mean? It's supposed to be this show, even though it's set in another world, it's supposed to show a better way of being. And then you do this shit, and it basically, to me, invalidates every point you've been trying to make this whole series, because this is colonism. Who is right about Anacostia? Give me my flowers. Ray, I don't want to give you flowers. I'm going to say it to the end of time. I don't want to give you flowers because you should not have been right about Anacostia. She should still be alive right now. I am irritated and I'm in my feelings. Just saying, I'm in my feelings. Let's see. The finale was a whole where were the baddies all along moment for me. The Rings of Saturn attack that Petra, Anacostia, her boyfriend, and Gregorio did was cool. It just didn't accomplish what they needed it to accomplish. But I just kind of feel like with all of them there, they didn't have to go that far. They probably could have just beat the hell out of these people before they had a chance to activate their stuff or cause something on the ground to happen. Just something. I know they don't have earthbend or magic. I almost said earthbending, Lord. But I mean, anything. That one work they did took a lot of time, and they knew it, and it was a risk. But to be fair, they didn't know about the not costumes, the uniforms, and that they would inert powers. But it's our work, should I say? But it's just I don't understand why there wasn't a better plan. These are people that are good at strategy. So I don't know. That's the word. Everything was fast and effing stupid for character and events. I agree with that 1,000,000,000,000%. I prepared myself to be disappointed by this finale. Was not surprised that my expectations were met. I know, but you gotta have hope that maybe something was gonna happen that was worthwhile. Come on, they could have made 2 more episodes and made it better, at least a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, if you only had 10 episodes, you should have most of your character stuff and build up in the first 4 or 5, and then 6 through 10 should have been bam, 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 one after another, aggressive stuff, like missions, secret takedowns, or whatever. We should never had to get into terraforming. That's what I feel like it is. It's terraforming. Also, go back. I was right. And Anacostia and also the Bellers were stewards of the finals. So thank you, Ray. Stewards. There were so many hints about their family importance and where the last song came from. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, though, the Bellwethers are the most prominent witch family in all of Fort Salem and the military. So I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer. If they were going to give it to somebody, it would be her, because Tally had to do it by sacrificing her sight. But of course, Tally got her sight back in the end because, I don't know why. I feel like, okay, I got it. I got what's bothering me the most besides forcing people to be witches without consent and Scylla not showing accountability or having accountability handed to her like Nicta. There are too many damn Mary Sues in this damn show. That's what it is. Too many Mary Sues. That's what it is. Scylla has a lot of red on her ledger. Yep. But it doesn't matter because she's happy now, married and in the lighthouse. Scylla did nothing. Her entire motivation was Raelle. Yep. She did nothing this season. Also, where was Abigail's once a spree, always a spree attitude from 301? I know, right? Well, that's what I was going to say. how Scylla is all of a sudden okay fighting alongside Fort Salem for Fort Salem, which is so against everything she believes in. And the reason that people give her, a lot of they give her a lot of space and they give her a pass to, basically have trauma. And that is why they're able to accept that she killed all these people. It's kind of erased that because she completely 180 because again, I know JJ is strong. I'm queer, but come on, guys. Every motivation Scylla has is because of that, is because of Rael. And Abigail, I don't know why they did that to her. Because I guess she was kind of like, well, if I'm the odd man out, everybody's going to be mad at me. Because whenever she treated Scylla a certain way, Rael would get upset with her and Tally would just be on the fence. So I guess she was kind of like, I don't want the drama. So we're just going to be sisters. So she's the fourth. If this was Charm, she's the fourth Charm one now. It makes no sense. It goes against everything we've learned. And yes, you can grow and evolve as people and you can learn to forgive. But I mean, come on. How can you have forgiveness and move on when the person you're trying to forgive and move on is acting like nothing fucking happened? People are treating it like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. When they were in court and the Bellwether unit was on trial and when Scylla was there, nobody brought up the fact that she was free. Nobody said anything about this girl at all. She was not, for all case and sense of purposes, why was she even there? She was not accused of killing Penelope. She was just with them. So she did not have any consequences whatsoever. The only consequences that Scylla had is when Alder and Anacostia were holding her and kind of torturing her a little bit. But then when she escaped, that was it. Consequences over. And here we are in season 3. It's completely wiped clean. There's nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. It's what it is. And people are completely okay with that. Latin Scylla been so instrumental in their survival. Abigail ain't no dummy. Abigail is not a dummy. Like I said, Abigail just didn't want to have any drama. That's what that shit was. In my opinion, the unit never actually worked for their power. Rael got it through magic mushrooms. Abigail just knew how to do this impossible thing. Tally just knew how to look into the past. Yep. Well, they only had 10 episodes. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you, Rael got the magic mushroom ability because she was stupid. She put her head, she'd be like, I'm gonna touch this. Why are you touching shit? Why do you look at something that looks like a spider web and put your hand on it? That's dumb. And if it moves, okay, I know she's not a POC, but you gotta have some sense. I'm like, you need to look at a wall. Us POCs, because of all the stuff we struggle through in life, we have developed a sixth sense of not doing shit that's stupid. Is if we see something moving on the wall, we're already on an airplane or a car out of the situation. We don't go up and be like, let me touch it. That is stupid. So yeah, Rael got her magic through stupidity. Abigail just knew how to do it because apparently Bellwethers just know how to do shit. I'm like, I don't know why, they just know how to do it. It's like being a Power Ranger. You just know how to fight instantly when you have the helmet and the spandex on. I don't get it. And Tally, being that Tally is a seer, I kind of cut her a little bit of slack, but I do get what you mean. She's never been able to look forward or backwards in time before, but yet somebody suggests it to her and then automatically she's able to do it. So that is kind of weird to have that kind of progression instantly. So I will give you that. That is very true. The season has the best villains. A real Legion felt so overwhelmingly with the first on Buffy with the Uber Vamps and Bringers against the potentials. The problem is the villains. So the villains aren't the problem. It's how they're handled. The writing wasn't right. It just wasn't right. I think the writers did their best at giving closure of the series with the limited time they had. I'm sorry. I disagree with that. There's a lot they could have done differently that would have made this a lot more epic of an ending. And I'm never going to agree with the choice of making everybody witches at the end. That's just really weird to me. So you're answering Latin. Give the Bellwethers their flowers. Abigail was a legacy that took the whole series for her family to really flex, and Tally and Rael have always been prodigal. Tally especially has been prodigal. Technically Ray's, I guess, prodigy is in being a fixer. So the witch bomb is still kind of new. And honestly, they kind of played that out well because she really didn't know what the hell she was doing whenever she used the witch bomb. So it kind of makes sense. Have you watched Sandman? I have not. Groove and Jam are going to do a review for me. I just don't have time. I'm sure it's great. I just don't have time. I'm sorry. When we consider whether or not humanity consented to becoming witches, we must also consider that witches also didn't consent to being conscripted and genocided by humans. True, but one wrong does not make, a right. Two wrongs don't make a right. Three wrongs don't make a right. We don't actually correct a wrong with another wrong. That is ignorant. So, just saying. My mother was European. My mother was born and raised in the UK. And now her family has never come to the States, but traditionally in this country, when Europeans came over, the first people that they created genocide on was my indigenous side, and then the next one was my Nigerian African side. So I get it. I actually am a descendant of technically potential people that could have colonized and the people that were colonized. So two wrongs still are not going to make a right. It's just not. So that argument always is very interesting. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying that is a very interesting perspective because it doesn't fly. I'm like, it'd be like, I poked her eye out because they poked mine out. An eye for an eye is not the answer. It's not. Accountability is the answer. You don't become a killer because somebody else tried to kill you. That doesn't fly. I'm sorry. Let's see. I do respect Abigail, and I think she needed a win. They just needed to actually work towards it. Maybe instead of war colors, they could have started with the song thing in season 2. That song thing was so random. It was so random. I'm like, there's so many things I don't understand. Like we already lost touch with side characters. They had a lot of interesting side characters. Like Tally's friend that used to live with her, back in her colony where she's from. Whatever happened to her? Does anyone know? Was she killed off? I forgot her name, but we haven't seen her at all. So a lot of the war college kids are like youngsters that we've been seeing seem to be a completely new class, which is interesting because Abigail and Rael and Tally have not been gone from war college that long. They were the freshmen in the coven. So how do they have a whole ass other class? They haven't been gone for a year. If they've been gone for a year, let me know in the comment section because it seemed like it was just months. So like the timing it's just all over the place for me. There were also some hints about Abigail being special going all the way back, and it was such a slow burn. Yeah, they had to dumb her down a little bit because she had to go through that whole. That's something else I think is very interesting. Abigail has gone from not want to be seen as somebody who just has a uterus to let's have a family, Adele. Like what? I mean, I go emotional growth is a thing, but she came to that very quickly. So yeah, it's a thing. Yes, I know. I just meant that I wanted to see Abigail actually train in the song, not just instinctively know how to use it or to do it. Maybe if it had actually been passed down, I would feel different. I agree with that. In the garage with the gray area excuse for Scylla, why is it always a gray area when it comes to the spree, but black and white when it comes to the humans? Oh no, the humans don't get a pass either. The problem is that the humans are getting accountability. Like people are knowing that the Kimmerer are evil pieces of crap, but the spree, I mean, they don't even talk about them anymore. The leader of the spree is now working for the president of the United States. Like I said, if you ship something or you ship a character, it doesn't matter what they do. You are still going to ship them in the end. It's just what it is. Doesn't matter what they do. They could walk into your house, kill everybody in it, and be like, oh, they're so hot. Did you see how they were with blah, blah, blah? It's so weird. It's just a weird thing. And I know that people just separate it because it's not realistic. But I mean, there's something to be said for people that will get so emotionally upset when you say something like Scylla's a terrorist. Because guess what? She is. I'm like, that is it. A cow is a cow. Scylla's a terrorist. It is what it is. So, yeah, it's interesting. The strippers of the show are just as toxic as most fans of other shows. True. Very true. Oh, look at my little spammer. I deal with spam today, guys. But no, I agree with that. The shippers of the show are just as toxic. So there are a lot of toxic fandoms out there. But what gets me about just the Rayla ones are just how it's funny how if you say something like Scylla needs accountability and needs to redeem herself, I've been seeing people call other people homophobic. And I think that is bullshit. I'm sorry. That is bullshit. A homophobic person would not give them a time of day in general. They wouldn't look at it. They wouldn't comment on it because for them, it doesn't exist. So that's really weird. A good story needs a substantial loss for impact. Anacostia as a favorite was the best choice, even more than older, because they did it already. But even then, she's a little frigid and Anacostia is warm. So I will agree that Anacostia's death, if they had to kill somebody and they made this the death that they wanted because it would emotionally affect everyone, that's valid. It's how they killed her off that's dumb. Let me get rid of this guy. Sorry, guys. I try to block these people as fast as I can, but it's hard. The loss of Tally's sight was the biggest problem I had for that damn song, and I was glad that she got it back. It was stupid. I mean, what they're really, and like I said, it's anticlimactic because she just ended up getting it back anyway. So it's like, oh, you only lost it for like half an episode. Cool. The season disappointed me way before the finale. Things happened not because our characters were smart or learning, but because they and everyone else made stupid decisions. Oh, yes, across the board. Across the board. You're absolutely correct. I feel like there were plot holes, and yes, it was way rushed. Yep. It was very apparent this season was rushed to me, too. I wish the show was given the time it needed for the story to conclude in a more organic manner. It kind of felt like it had multiple, like, writers. Like, there's a movie called Cloud Atlas. I really enjoyed this movie, even though I know if you look at it today, it looks like a lot of culture appropriating is happening, you know, with a white man dressed up as an Asian face and all that, trying to be basically it's about reincarnation and then being the same person in different. So it's very interesting and very deep movie based on a very interesting and very deep book, but it had multiple directors and adapters for script, or some of the screenplay adaptations were different. So like, it's like I don't think they did communicate with each other. They just all came together with their parts and the editor just put them together is what I think happened. And so it kind of felt like each like section of characters where the unit was, like all of them had different writers and they all filmed their stuff and they all came together and put it together. And you know, it just wasn't cohesive to me. It didn't flow. The continuity wasn't right for me. So I don't know. That's how I feel. With Scylla being the fourth member, it seems like they skipped 3 seasons of character development and team building. They jumped straight to the "we are sisters now" BS. Exactly. And that makes no sense, especially where Abigail is concerned. That makes no sense. Wish it could be longer episode for the finale. They should have got like freaking 2 episodes if they're gonna. They should have had a 2-hour run. If they had to have it, like, you know, if they were gonna do 2 hours, maybe episodes 9 and 10 should have been the finale. They should have been like, because I mean, honestly, 10 episodes, you think you can't do a lot with that. But then I look at shows like Peacemaker and I'm like, hello, yeah, you can. You absolutely can. It is all in how you choose your continuity and your writing. You're choosing to focus on stuff that you don't need to focus on, and it takes way too much damn time, then that's on you. I'm sorry. I really grew to like Scylla like Amity, but I feel like she was far more powerful, bad than good. They needed to utilize her death magic more. Yeah, people think that I hate Scylla. That is not the case. I just don't like characters that get away with shit. That's literally it. It bothers me. It just really bothers me. It's like accountability should be a thing. It should. So it's a thing. I don't think 2 wrongs don't make a right. Applies to self-defense by making everybody a witch. They ended the source of a conflict that would have killed many more people. Otherwise, lives are saved. Well, if I go by that, Latino, then we should make everybody on this planet white and male. Then there'll be no conflict. in just that. To be honest, War College have students and it all went missing in finale episodes, or any episode, to be honest, 6 to 10 should have utilized other witch with epic stuff. I agree with that. They could have done, like I said, they could have done their catch-up stuff in episodes 1 and 2, 3 and 4. We should actually be introduced into this whole like first song, like more fleshed out. And then 5 through like 8 should have been them dealing with the Camarera, and then 9 and 10 should have been the big finale. But that's not what happened. So, that's a thing. I just feel like they just dropped the ball. There's so many characters that were not in it that, it doesn't make sense. Isadora's alive. She did not have her throat cut. Somehow it's not cut again. They stitched her up, which is their fault. It's really stupid because I knew when I saw that she was still alive that, Hearst was dead. I already knew that. She killed him with the tea by doing the Black Plague. I call it the Black Plague in the tea. And then of course Penelope giving Daddy a good old hug. That was a really disgusting scene. They're very graphic with their grossness. It is a thing, I guess. The army wasn't actually doing everything they could against the spree, yet the humans enraged about that were shown as militarily evil. No nuance there. Yeah. So let's be clear, okay, guys? Let's be clear. Let's just put the elephant to rest. In this series, because we know that we are rooting for the witches, everybody else is always going to be seen as less than, The only problem is, in terms of the military fighting, I still have no idea how a handful of Camarera initially was able to infiltrate the base. Because I feel like knowing that they were out there, Petra should have been like, we need every kind of ward we have. We need, even if they have something that can block our work, we need to have barriers, something they can't penetrate. If we can't do it through our magic, then let's do it through technology. Have freaking like gates that have lasers on them. Do something. They weren't trying. They were not trying. The army could have done more against the spree. I don't know. The army seems so reserved in how they use their power, and the spree just felt more effective. Yeah, true. I mean, they have so many rules in the army that do not make sense to me. Again, how Anacosta's parents wouldn't even save their own lives because they'd be breaking the rules and using work off base. And so they allowed themselves to be killed in a car crash. I mean, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. So yeah, I agree with that. I don't know why the army does that. It's very strange. Weren't there some characters missing in the finale? Yep. Oh yeah. And I don't know why. We never saw Tally's other boy toy. What was his name? The one that actually had to get married and then wanted to have a threesome with Tally and him. The one that she initially had a crush on, and the one that she slept with in Beltane. I cannot remember his name, but he never came back. I don't know where he went. The really cool guy that Rael met, who was also gay, we never saw him again. We never really saw a lot of the guys that come back from during the academy days, and technically coming, I guess they came in Fort Salem to make weapons again at one point. I can't remember. The witch father never came back. Like none of that. We never got to see the guys in action outside of Gregoria and Adele, and sometimes like a handful we might see, but we not really. So I don't know. I think they just didn't actually want to fight the spree. I think deep down they didn't actually disagree. Heck, Rael defended the spree in season 1. Well, that's the thing. What the spree was saying wasn't wrong. It's how they went about it. That is the problem. It would be like me. I am very passionate about my ethnicity being right. So when I tell people that I'm mixed and people don't treat me like I'm mixed, so they basically say, what's that? I'm going to tell you what you are. I get in my feelings. So imagine if I got so in my feelings, I just decided to go around a bunch of monoracials and just blow them up all the damn time. I'm making a point. That's stupid. I don't have to do that. I use my voice as my platform because that's what you do when you literally are against something. You talk about it, even if you're a little louder. You don't blow people up. You don't do shit. You don't do that. That is crazy. So yeah. Do you think this series will have a sequel series? I don't know if it'll have a sequel. It could have a continuation, maybe, if Elliot starts writing books. I mean, that's the thing. It could happen. I know that this was, if I remember correctly, in an interview, he said something along the lines of him wanting, this was his initial like desire, was to make it into a book series. I don't know who talked him into doing a TV show. I know that Amanda Tapping from Stargate and from, what was the name of the other show she was in? Sanctuary. If you ever saw Sanctuary on Sci-Fi Channel, she was a director and she was a producer. Also, Will Ferrell was a producer of this show. So I don't know if maybe they kind of got like the concept and said, hey, let's just flesh this out and make it a TV show, which I'm glad they did because we got it. But yeah, and then the likelihood of us coming across this series, unless it was like very viral, we would never have seen it. Which I really think we probably would have seen this because it seems to, I think they would have probably advertised it to a point where we would have, definitely. It's just like, how whenever you're on YouTube, you always have like those I'm British, so I was gonna say advertisements. I was raised by a British mother. But you see these ads and it's always about like these wolf packs, like alpha, omega, or beta type books. And it's always like, something like, I was 12 years old and I was beaten by my pack. And then I met this guy and I loved him so much, but he didn't want me and he threw me away. And he didn't want to choose me as his mate. I guess I just have no value. Stupid crap like that. We would have got this for Motherland, Port Salem if it became really viral. It'd be like 3 witches raised through a time where they were forced to conscribe to the military. I can just literally see that. I could see that being a thing with Motherland, Fort Salem. So I could see that succeeding as a book series. But I mean, in a way, I am glad we got a TV series because we got to experience all of this. So I guess that's a win and a non-win at the same time. I don't think forcing everybody in the world to be white males is morally equivalent to giving everybody superpowers with no downside. Well, I disagree with you because I'm a big believer in consent. And I don't care if you're making me a mutant, a fairy, a genie, a superhero, an Avenger, a Justice League, or whatever. You ask me before you effing do something like that. I'm not going to wake up in my life and be something completely different because you decided that this is what it should be, because that's no different to what is happening in this country. And I'm saying this again as a woman who woke up one day and had a big wake-up call that if I ever decide to have a child again, and with my autoimmune condition, I am extremely high risk, and I had a dangerous pregnancy, that I am ready. Basically, I have to know that I'm signing my own death warrant because I can't get an abortion to even save my life. Somebody else made that decision about my own body. So I'm a little sensitive when I hear shit like this. I'm sorry, because that doesn't fly with me. Consent is a thing. And those that don't understand that consent is a thing, regardless of what it is, if it's a decision made for you, it is wrong unless you agree to it. Period. To be honest, one of the things that annoy me about the show is how ineffective. They didn't seem like an actual military, just a group of people in uniforms acting serious, but with no strategy at all. Yeah. But to be fair, I mean, I'm just going to say it. A majority of the Fort Salem missions have all ended in failure in this series. I mean, so many have ended in failure. So maybe that's something to be said about the strategies of, the executive or leadership of Fort Salem. They're just not good at strategies. They're supposed to be, but they're not. If you really think about it, the only successful things that they have done have been when Anacostia went undercover, or when people were going undercover, and M, protected the president undercover and made it seem like they didn't know about the attack coming. That's when it became a thing. But outside of that, they don't have successful missions. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I want Motherland, the session as a spin-off show. That would be effing amazing. But I mean, I wonder how they would work that, because like, would you want the session pre this, or would you want it post the series? It depends on where they did the session, I guess. If I went to sleep and woke up a cyborg because someone decided that it'd be cool to make me a cyborg, I'd be pissed as hell. I don't care if I have powers. You change my body, my sense of self. There you go. That is the moral lesson that everyone should take from this. You cannot impose what you feel is best for everyone on everyone. That is the problem. There's a reason democracy and diversity exists in this world. Making everybody the same is not the answer. You have to learn how to deal with people who don't agree with you, who don't look like you, who don't have your language, your culture, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. That is the biggest challenge. I would have had more respect if they found a way to start conversations on peace, not being like, well, you don't agree with me, so guess what? Now you're me. That is a problem. And I just don't agree with it. I really don't. I don't agree with that choice. I think it's very morally bad. I'm like, that ending to me was bad. I'm sorry. They could have done a lot more. It's what it is. I'm for consent too. By making everybody witches, nobody would have to be conscripted or genocide anymore, and the Khmer would no longer have the political power to impose their will on others. But you see, by you saying I'm for consent too, and then going into that is completely opposite of having consent. Nobody signed a freaking look. When you go to the hospital here, you have to sign a waiver because of HIPAA law. You can't even talk about somebody's medical, anything without the threat of being fined or even going to jail. So if we do that for medical stuff, why would we not do that for somebody changing your DNA without your permission? Latino, you're cool. I just have to let you know that I feel like I'm talking to Kenny with this consent thing, and I'm tired. I can't do this today. I'm too tired. I'm gonna drink my coffee. That's how wars start. Yep, that is how wars start. It's not the opposite of consent. It's self-defense against people who do not want your consent. What? What is not the opposite of consent? I'm confused. What are you actually talking about? So I'm saying by not getting consent of people to change them into witches, that was morally wrong. What are you talking about? Because I am very confused right now. So I don't know. This may be a discussion we take over to the comment section, because as far as I'm concerned, unless they talk to everybody on the planet and they are like, hey, we're down for being witches, count down in 10, they force that on people. You don't force that on people. It's no difference from cultural. There's no difference between that and cultural genocide. It's just not. And if you don't see that, it kind of scares me. So I'm just putting that out there. Trying to think of some more stuff with the show, because again, the finale for me. One thing I did have a curious moment on is when Alder went to Africa and she ran into, like, I don't know if this was a general or the head of the military, but how he knew her. And I'm really curious to know, because she was like, when she first got there, she's like, when they were talking, she's like, my business is my own. I'm not here to do anything. I didn't cause that storm outside. And he had this really antagonistic thing going on. I'm trying to really understand what that was about. Like, did they have some kind of history? Because we don't have Alder's whole backstory. We'll never get that, unfortunately. But I hate when they do that. I hate when they put in like this little nugget that's actually so interesting, and then it just goes off the wayside. And we never hear about it again. It reminds me a lot of a plot hole that will bother me to the end of time from Charmed, where we talked about Harry having a whole ass other family and another child, and then we never visit that again. So I want to know why this was something that we had to see if we were never going to have that fleshed out. So that was something that bothered me. They thought this would stop a war, given everyone witch powers is down to unleash violence. Yeah. I'm saying the witches were defending themselves from genocide and conscription by making everybody witches. They made a world where people's consent would be respected more. They didn't. They took people's consent away from them when they made them all witches. Okay. It's like taking a slave and enslaving them and then saying, I'm doing this because eventually I want you to have rights. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Latino, we are going to agree to disagree in this conversation because I'm not ever going to agree with what you're saying. I'm sorry. Imagine how many people will use the shouting people apart with your voice for wrong. Like when Buffy made all potential slayers, they had more criminal slayers using their powers for evil. I mean, seriously, if you take the witch out of the conversation, take out being a witch. Just take it out. Take out being queer. Let's just do this. Here we go. How would everyone feel if the LGBTQ plus put a spell over the entire world and now everybody's gay? Gay, transgender, bisexual, pansexual, whatever. But everybody's LGBTQ plus. You did not consent to it, Latino, but you were now part of the LGBTQ plus community. Even if you are now in real life, just roll with it. Everybody on the planet is LGBTQ plus. There is no such thing as heterosexuality. That has been taken completely away. Is that right or wrong? Because LGBTQ plus people are persecuted all the time. So is that right? I mean, it stops us from being persecuted because there's no one left to persecute us because we made them all us. We're like the damn Borg from Star Trek. Everyone's been assimilated. Please tell me you understand this, because that's kind of creeping me out a little bit. I'm just saying, I get real on my channel. I don't want to call anybody out. I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but I just have to say, when it comes to consent and people not understanding what that actually means, that kind of worries me. So yeah, consent needs to happen before an action. Maybe that should be where we start. Consent needs to happen before the action occurs. It is not a whole line of it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. That doesn't fly when you're changing people's DNA. You need to get consent before you do it. You don't get consent after you do it. There's nothing to consent because everybody's like you. I mean, am I making sense? Oh, Lord have mercy, guys. I got to save my energy because, we're doing our She-Hulk review tonight at 7:30. I'm going to have Groove on here. And Groove's going to act the fool. So I'm just got to. But I really need. Just from my own point of view, I can't control what other people absorb in conversations. But for me, Approach the Nerd, Maria Park, consent comes before the action, not after. That is what I believe. That is what I stand by. That is my personal law. You do not do something until someone tells you that it's okay. You don't do it and then expect the consent to come later. That is not how that works. That is never how that will work. And so for me, in the end of this finale, they took that choice away from people. And that is not okay. It's just not. So we can put that in the whole gray area along with Scylla killing those people. That's fine, because a lot of people do that. It's fine. But suspending disbelief, that's fine. This is imaginary, that's fine. But at the end of the day, this is a show that was made for entertainment value, but obviously had political undertones to it. And I don't get it. I think consent goes out the window when somebody attacks you and it's self-defense. All right, so to play devil's advocate, the people that didn't attack them, the human beings that were actually witch supporters, why were they included in that? Because they were. So if I'm going by that logic, there's a whole subset of people out there that were also forced to become witches that did nothing wrong. But I'm still going to disagree that consent does not go out the window when someone attacks you unless it's self-defense and you're fighting. And in a fight where you're trying to save your life and it's a one-on-one or whatever, or military against military thing, you already consented when you joined the military. You've already consented to your life when somebody's attacking you because you want to live. Somebody's like trying to attack or molest you, whatever. Yeah, you're going to defend yourself. That is a completely different situation than terraforming the earth with DNA. Like that's not even the same conversation, the same realm of existence. So no, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're just not gonna agree on this. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen. It's not. Let's see. I had another point I was trying to make. I was trying to remember another character that I was going to talk about, and I cannot remember who they were. So I got thrown off a little bit. Sorry about that. Oh yeah. Abigail's grandmother and Wade. So we got to see in season 3 that they had some beef with each other, I guess, because I forgot what it was. I don't know if they served on the same like assembly. There's something, but they generally did not like each other. And then they went in the room with alcohol. And then Wade came out, and all of a sudden she was Team Witch. And then I was thinking to myself, quite frankly, are they gay? Did they sleep together? Did they bang it out? I don't know why I thought that. I thought Wade and her got it on, and then and she came out and she's like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want." That's what I really thought happened. I'm really curious. I really wish they had actually fleshed out the beef between them. I think that would be really interesting. I really do. Think of Ray's dad. He supported witches all his life, and now has to learn to be one out at like 60. Yep. I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like the whole Hitler's dream of the perfect Aryan race. I think like everybody should have blonde hair and blue eyes, and everybody should look carbon copies of each other to the point where you can't get mad because everybody essentially is you. That is not normal. Like, diversity is a beautiful thing. It is beautiful. Consent, diversity, like, it's our differences that are supposed to make this beautiful, colorful earth. You don't have to be a witch to understand what it's like to be a witch. Just like you don't have to be black to understand that there are people out there that are black that are being, pretty much killed in the streets. You don't have to be Asian to realize that they're being blamed for COVID and all kinds of stuff. You don't have to be any of these cultures to understand that there is a huge disparity in the United States and even in some other countries. You can relate to suffering without being that person. And if you can't, then that says a lot more about you than it says about anybody else. I'm just saying. But again, we're not here to like jump on people. I don't want you to feel like, Latino, that we're jumping on you. I just don't understand at all. Diversity is a beautiful thing, even if everybody has superpowers. Latino, you drunk boy, go home. we done with this. Like we now you're just being silly. I can't. No, if you need to have that life, buddy, you need to draw yourself into a comic book because that ain't flying here. Sorry. We all would love to have superpowers, but we don't want to be given powers because somebody told us we had to have them. It should be a choice. Everything in this world should be a choice. The moment it is not a choice for you, then that's when it's time to go. Maybe we need to go terraform another damn planet because this one isn't working. So please don't take away, guys, that consent is not a thing. I feel like I need to make consent banners with definitions all over the place. It's actually sad. I'm kind of old and I didn't think I would have to have these conversations, but whatever. Imagine the 89-year-old grandma learning how to do a windshield. She should just be worried about taking her meds, not learning new tricks. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people are going to wake up and be like, what happened? And what's really scary to me is what if they don't remember a time when they were human? Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand the logic behind any of that. So I'm making a case for consent, but we can agree to disagree. You're not actually making a case for consent. You're making a case for why it's okay for witches to be made in, or humans to be made into witches against their will, and then trying to pass it off as consent. There's a difference. Consent comes before an action. It's actually a definition. Consent has to come before the action. Period. There's no case to be made. You have to consent to something for it to be an action. If you are not consenting, then it's done against your will. That is literally the steps, the order of things. There you go. I'll let Kenny know that he's got a buddy in crime now because he didn't understand consent either, so it's fine. Laugh out Jehovah's Witnesses and others would be mad if they are turned to witches. I mean, think of all the pastors and rabbis and stuff out there now that have a whole other religion they never asked for. I mean, you really think about it on that level. That's scary. Yeah, this I knew this finale was going to basically open up a lot of conversations, and there are a lot of people that didn't even see it this way. They're just like, wow, a whole world full of witches now. And it's like they don't think about the fact that these people's rights were taken away. But I guess again, I'm just sensitive because I'm a woman and I don't have control over my own body in this country. So I mean, you know, when I see stuff like this, it makes perfect sense. It really does that we are a very flawed society as a whole. We really are very flawed and sometimes scary. I just hope that in the real world, no one decides to just make decisions, outside of what has already happened to women as a whole here so far. I really hope that I don't wake up one day as a werewolf, a vampire, a witch, or whatever without somebody coming to me and asking me if that was okay. Because what if I wanted to be a magical creature? What if I wanted to be a mermaid and somebody made me into a werewolf? Where was the consent? Just saying. I'm not a Sims game. So, and I kind of feel like these people were not a Sims game either. So, yeah. Magic is a metaphor for empowerment and freedom in this show. No, freedom and empowerment does not mean you have to have magic. President Wade had power and she had freedom and she was not a witch. She was an influential, badass woman who didn't have to be a witch to be powerful. So I kind of don't think that that is true. Just saying. All right, guys. We are at an hour and 21 minutes. I could keep going on this stream, but again, we're going to have another stream like literally in about 5 hours. And I just really need to recharge because we have 2 episodes of She-Hulk to talk about. Plus, we also got some nerd news that we're going to talk about. So, and yes, Groove will be on the stream. So I'm sure it's going to be a mess. It really is. Also, I mentioned this before. I did an interview with the actresses for Claire and the actor for Isaac from the Orville New Horizons. So I'll be posting that. I'm going to try and get that done on by Saturday or tomorrow or no later than Sunday because I need to have that one posted since I just posted with Joe's Geek Show an Orville season 3 video where we talk about the entire season. So I need to do that. And then of course, our Ruby video is also going to be out on Sunday for Ice Queendom. If you're watching Ice Queendom, then you'll know that show is effing amazing. I'm actually enjoying it a lot. And it's all in, basically it shows a lot of things, a lot of the characters' insights on how things are. So we're getting a lot of character development we never got in Ruby volumes 1 through 8 at this point. So very, very established like worlds that we never got to see, and like traumas we knew about but never got fleshed out or happening in this cartoon. So if you have Crunchyroll, I know it's on there. I don't know what else it's on, but I know it's on Crunchyroll. Maybe on Rooster Teeth's website too. If you're not watching it, and please do. And I do have reviews up for it. So I will have that on Sunday. But I'm tired. I'm going. And I will be back with Groove at 7:30 Central Standard Time. If you cannot make it, if you're in an area where it is already too late, then try and check the video out later and let us know what you think in the comment section. But if it is night for you guys, have a good night. If it is day for you, have a good